Good evening, Mississippians. Jamie Lasia Roberts here, your Democrat candidate in the 2026 midterms election for U.S. Senate seat, Mississippi District 39. I'm coming to you in this video about the recent outpour of violence, as I am running in this election simply as a human being, a good-hearted, decent human being, and I will always speak as such. This is never really about political for me. This is about humanity, and humanity needing someone with a strong, loud voice to speak up for them. And I'm going to speak up in this. First of all, prayers and condolences to the families of Trey Reed, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it, Corey Zucattis. This was just, the violence needs to stop. And I do not for a second believe that this was suicide. I believe that Trey Reed was being harassed and bullied, is why he was maybe in some distress. It's maybe why he showed some distress on social media, and they finally got their hands on him and took his life. I'm sorry, but I have to speak this out loud. No African American person is going to unalive themselves in the symbolic way that their ancestors were unalived by the white supremacists back in the slavery days. I just don't feel like an African American person is going to do that. No, I am not African American, and I cannot speak for them. But as a human being and someone with two eyes and who can just see and know history and pay attention to history, I just don't feel like an African American person is going to end their life, is going to voluntarily end their own life in the symbolic same exact way that white supremacists ended their ancestors' life back in the slavery days. I just don't see that being done. Because I feel like, as to me, in my opinion, if I were an African American person, or even as a human being, let's not even say that, let's take the color out of it, even as a basic, decent, good-hearted human being, knowing my history, I know that that would be a spit in the face to the African American culture and community and their history, as the ancestors were slaves, what they went through, and how they were, how a lot of them were unalived. I just don't see that happening voluntarily from an African American person. In reality, he was harassed and bullied. His bulliers got their hands on him and they unalived him, because the way it was done screams white supremacy, old days, slavery, the way that they handle things as I'm speaking. And I know you're going to have a lot of people, especially MAGA people, that are going to stand up and shout, well, the other guy that was unalived on the same day wasn't a person of color. He was a white dude. That doesn't mean anything. If you think about it, he was homeless. So they went and found someone homeless whose life they thought did not matter automatically because he was homeless and had nothing. So they figured that they would go and unalive him in the same way and call it suicide as well. And people would believe it because he's homeless and someone else had just committed suicide in the same way. So maybe it's something that's going around. maybe people are feeling suicidal in the area and that's how they're deciding to do it. That doesn't make any lick of sense. And even if it was truly what they're trying to call it, then why not have a more longer investigation? Why was it so closed, cut and dry so quickly? I just felt like there should have been a little more into it. And it's absolutely terrible. I am tired of people dying in the name of political violence because of different hateful motivations. It's got to stop. It's got to end. All of it, every single bit of it, even the violence on Charlie Kirk. Although I heavily disagreed with Charlie Kirk's political group and movements, his life mattered simply because he was God's creation, a human being, a dad, a loved one, someone's earthly child. And no parent should ever have to bury their child at any point in that child's lifetime. That's my feelings. Because at the end of the day, I am God's anointed chosen, and my job is to help and to heal. That's why I'm coming out of my comfort zone and even running in this election. I was never someone who voted or ever cared about politics. I could not stand politics. But after all of this recent outpour of poor people and homeless and hungry and struggling, and then add on top of that all the recent outpour of violence, of all these different people being unalived, regardless of their skin tone of color. Trey Reed, Corey Zucattis, Charlie Kirk, and all the other people that were unalived by someone else. And I'm gonna, like I said, include Trey Reed and Corey Zucattis in that, because I believed that they were unalived and that it was not suicide. For the simple fact of knowledge of Black history, my friends, like I'm saying, I don't feel like an African American person is going to unalive themselves in that manner. Knowing that would be that would just be wouldn't it very well be a slap in the face to Black history if an African American decided to unalive themselves in that way? Wouldn't that be what they would be doing? So why would any African American person, if that's what that would be doing, why would they willingly unalive themselves in that way if they know that's something that would be a spit in the face to their African American ancestors? They wouldn't. If they shared the same feelings as me and said, yes, that is in fact correct, that would be a form of a spit in the face to the African American ancestors, if an African American person did in fact unalive themselves in that way, yes, it would be a spit into their face, because that's how the African American ancestors were unalived by the white supremacists back in the slavery days. So I just don't see it being suicide. And this man, he like Charlie Kirk and Corey Zucattis, all of them, when I speak of loved one, son, child, all of that, that's for all of them. That's to cover all of them. Trey Reed, Corey Zucattis, Charlie Kirk, all of the ones that lost their lives to violence, they were all a loved one. They were all someone's child that should not have had to been buried by their parent. They should not have had to lost their life, any of them. And like I said, I heavily disagree with what Charlie Kirk stood for, hence why I'm running against the political people he defended. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a human being and he was a human being. He was whether those of you who did not like him and could not stand him, there are ones that did love him, that did like him, including his loved ones. And I want to say, the recent videos that I've seen on TikTok, or the recent comments that I've seen on TikTok and other platforms celebrating Charlie Kirk's unalivement and singing and dancing about it. Some people I've seen saying they can now sleep better at night. Even people thanking Jesus, thanking God. Like you're scooting to the same level of a monster as you called Charlie Kirk. We see what he's done. We see his words he spoke. And yes, his life ending doesn't change what he stood for. But his life ending should end all of the talk about him. His death shouldn't be a political movement. No death should be a political movement. When a person loses their life, regardless of who they are, it should just be left alone. You know, pay your respects if you want to pay your respects. And if you don't want to pay your respects, then just move along. Worry about the things going on around you in the world. Worry about people that are starving. Talk about all of the starving people. I don't understand why people don't use social media platforms to talk about all of these people dying senselessly due to uncalled for violence, or talking about all of these people that are coming up missing, or talking about all these people that are just simply homeless and hungry and struggling, that are elderly and disabled, and these veterans that are losing their benefits, that are losing their home, that are losing things. Why are we not talking about that, folks? Why are we talking about hateful things? Why are we talking about different topics of things and then turning it into a hateful movement, a movement of hate? Why do we have all of these different people saying, oh, this life matters, no, this life matters, no, this life matters? Newsflash, people, and it's on my shirt. 2,000 years ago, Jesus ended the debate of which lives matter when he died for all of us. When he died on that cross, he died for all of us. He didn't die for people of non-color. He didn't die just for people of color. He didn't die just for the animals. No, he died for everyone. He died for all of humanity. And I am sick and tired of people trying to singulate their self as just them mattering. When no, all of us matter. All lives matter. Even lives you don't agree with. Their lives still matter too. Now, their lives may not matter to you, but their lives do matter to their loved ones, to their friends, to the people who do believe in them, to the people who do love them. Charlie Kirk's life mattered to his loved ones. It mattered to his friends. It mattered to his people that he worked with. It mattered to his people that followed his movement. It mattered to his parents who had to bury their child that shouldn't have to do that. It matters because those same parents cannot even grieve over the loss of their child because his death is being blown up into a big political movement to attack the trans community, which is terrible. Now, I have no big agenda to go into the government and to go after anyone in particular. Now, if it's found that these politicians, if they're found to be truly doing wrong in a lawful state of law, legally, through a legal process, then they will be brought to justice and impeachments will be done. But I'm not going to go with an agenda to go after them, to say nasty things about them, to gut them, to come after them in nasty ways, to try to take them down with any kind of forms of anything, just to advance myself in this election, just to win this election, because I don't need to do that. I have the grace and spirit of the Lord to know that I'm going to win this election, just being who I am, a human being, speaking as who I am, a human being, standing up as who I am, a human being, fighting for everyone else as the decent, loving, kind-hearted, beautiful-souled human being that I am. Because as senator, I'm going to do that. And yes, you don't have to be senator to do that. Being senator is a bonus. That gives me more leeway, I guess I could call it, to do much more better things much easier. Because I could do those things, I could do all of these good things without the Senate seat. But with the Senate seat, makes it all that much easier and makes my voice that much louder. And I'm going to speak loud. So I, Jamie Elijah Roberts, Democratic candidate for the U.S. Senate election 2026 for Mississippi District 39, am saying that I am for the poor, the homeless, the struggling, the hungry, the vulnerable, the voiceless, the elderly, the veterans, even those in prison, because not all criminals are bad. A lot of them can be reformed and redeemed. I am also for humanity. I'm also for stopping violence on humanity. Stopping prejudices against humanity. The attack on the trans community needs to stop. Not every trans person is violent. I, as a trans woman, proudly gonna say I'm a trans woman, can say that. Because here I am, after the hate and pain and rejection that I've endured from so many people, I'm willing to come out of my comfort zone, my strong, established comfort zone. I'm willing to come out of that to open up to myself, to God only knows what, because He knows I'm strong enough to fight through it. Gonna open myself up to so much, but I'm willing to do that so we can have a strong, independent, loving, caring person, which is me. Fight for Mississippi, fight for our country, fight for the world, fight for humanity, fight for the poor, the homeless, the meek, the lowly at heart, the struggling, the disabled, the veterans, the vulnerable, the elderly, if I didn't say it, the children, which falls under vulnerable, the innocent. Yeah, that's children. Everybody, all of them, all of humanity, that's who I am for. And I want to end the violence on that same humanity. This should no violence, no death, or any kind of violence, even regardless if it ends in death or not. No type of violence should ever be made political. When violence occurs, whether it ends the life or not, when violence occurs, that's when we should separate ourselves from who we are as people to being simple, basic, decent human beings. And as such, we should have moments of silence, remembrance, honoring different things as such. Again, if you don't agree with the person of who they are, what they stood for, then you can, You don't have to participate in any of the remembrance or honoring or anything, but you don't have to voice your words against it either. Now, if you want to voice words against it in a peaceful way and say something peaceful, then that's okay. But what I'm talking about is nothing hateful or anything like that should ever be spoken against it, regardless of how you feel about that person. I, as a trans woman, can say that with confidence, especially in the case of Charlie Kirk, because according to his movement, he was heavily against trans people. The people in his movement and him, all of them, they were against the trans community. The ones handling his situation or even trying to claim that the shooter's lover was transgender, which I'm not going to speak on. That's something I'm not going to speak into. I'm just going to simply say, as a trans person, his life still mattered, and I will never bring or reduce myself to speak ill of him or anyone else that I disagree with as a person, because you've ever heard that saying, you don't speak ill of the dead? It's not polite to speak ill of the dead. God says it's ugly to speak ill of the dead. So let's not scoot to that level of doing that. We need to spread love, you guys. We need to come together as we the people. We need to unite. We need to come together strong. We need to stop fighting with each other. We need to stop hating on each other. And if you can't get along with someone, then move on. Walk away. Like this Tyler Robertson guy. Instead of unaliving Charlie Kirk, you could have created your own movement, Cornerstone America, and debated Charlie Kirk everywhere he went. Violence should never be the answer against anyone you disagree with. I don't wish that on anyone, on any of my political opponents, any of my political opponents. I don't wish that on them. I don't wish violence on anyone. When did we become a country of running things on violence, on resorting to violence to people that oppose us, to people that we disagree with? When did that happen? Because we need to go back in time, and at the point we started that, we need to stop it before it starts. Because if you look at the candidates from elections in the past, from I'd say 30 or 40 years ago, 50 years ago, that wasn't heard of. Violence wasn't too heard of. I'm sure it happened, but it wasn't too heard of because it probably wasn't something, so mainstream. I don't know why it wasn't mentioned. Like I said, I'm sure it happened, but it's not something you really ever expect would dominate so many different things in our life. And it's a real tragedy. It's really sad that so much hate and violence is what a lot of people have resorted to. And that's part of me becoming senator, running in this election and winning the election. That's one of the things I'm going to do as senator, is I'm going to help stop the violence, help end the violence, help end the hate on all of humanity. Because it needs to stop. The violence needs to stop. We've got to stand up and fight hard. We've got to do this. We cannot back down. We have to show people that this is 2025. And in 2025, we are different. We are more advanced. We are more different than our ancestors. We have better strength in numbers to where we can band together and form a strong enough number to outweigh all of those who welcome violence and hate and division and ugliness and uncleanness and unlawfulness and violations against humanity. We can come together as we the people and help end all of this hate and violence on humanity. The crimes against our own humanity. I love you guys so very much. And I'll see you again in my next video that I will be making here soon. Probably in the next couple of days, few days. Not sure on what exact time, but I'll be making one again here soon. I love you, my brothers and sisters in the Lord's blood. Please, everyone, please stay safe out there. Watch your back. Stay partnered up with someone if you can when you go out to various places. Try not to ever go out alone. If you do have to go out alone, make sure you have enough protection on you. Try to have 2 cell phones. If not, try to have at least your 1 cell phone fully charged up and ready to call for help. Make sure you have what you need to defend yourself. And please, just stay safe, everybody. I'm not speaking this for a certain set of people. I'm saying this for all of humanity. Please be safe. Watch your backs. Love one another. Love thy neighbor. And love your enemies too, by just choosing to walk away and turn away from them and not even pay attention to them. That's how you can love them. You don't have to participate with them. You can turn away from them and love them from a distance. I call it loving them with the love of the Lord. That's how you can do it. I love you guys so very much. Please like, share, subscribe, and vote for me in the upcoming 2026 midterms election. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to win. I got this. Thanks for your support, guys and gals of Mississippi. Have a blessed night. See you later.